Welcome to Illuminati Silver. We tell you the truth about silver. Today is Thursday, the 7th of January 2021. And just a few hours ago, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris were confirmed by Congress as the next President and Vice President of the United States of America. And we take a look at the immediate market reaction, including any movement in gold and silver prices. So let's go there. Now, before we look at the market reaction, just a brief reminder that yesterday we published a video entitled Financial and Economic Midweek Update. Monday and Tuesday, our 2021 silver price forecast, and on Sunday, our 2021 gold price forecast. And we've placed links to each of these below. Now, we're publishing this video at 09:44 GMT, but by the time it actually appears on YouTube, it'll probably be midday GMT, at which time both houses of Congress have confirmed that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are to be the next President and Vice President of the United States of America. And Trump has literally within the last hour or so confirmed that there will be a peaceful transition of power, though we suspect this has more to do with arch-ally senators like Lindsay Graham and his own Vice President Mike Pence saying enough is enough may have something to do with it. Well, first of all, Asia-Pacific stocks closed broadly up around 1.6% overnight, and European and UK markets have opened marginally positive, up by around 0.5%, following Wall Street's close yesterday, broadly up around 1.5%. The dollar index has risen ever so marginally, up 0.18 at 89.7, and crude oil prices have already risen this week and are up around another 0.5%. Gold has recovered a little from yesterday's lows of $1,903 and currently stands at $1,916, which is still down some $43 from yesterday's high of $1,959. Silver dipped briefly yesterday to $26.76 and went as high as $27.95 and is currently standing at $27.17. This gives us a gold to silver ratio of 70.5. Please note that in our silver price forecast for 2021, we have predicted that this will eventually move lower to potentially as low as 60 to 1. Bitcoin is moving from strength to strength and is currently $35,280, just $540 off its high yesterday of $35,822. So, all in all, limited market reaction so far, and we have to ask, has the presidential decision already been baked into market figures? Now, later today we have the weekly jobless claims report, which we are expecting a deterioration and almost certainly a decline in the non-farm payrolls, which will be announced tomorrow. Trade deficit figures are also unlikely to be beneficial, and we're also anticipating a decline in the ISM Services Index. Also later today, 3 members of the Federal Reserve FOMC, who are members in their capacity as Reserve Bank presidents, are providing verbal reports. And these include St. Louis Fed President James Bullard, Chicago Fed President Charles Evans, and San Francisco Fed President Mary Daly. Should prove interesting to hear what they have to say. Now, finally and quickly, as we're preparing episode 5 of Bitcoin vs. Gold and Silver to be published later today, we wish to give a reaction to a few comments we're receiving on our videos of late. Some people are accusing us of being partisan by way of what we publish politically. Now, we have to sort of respond to that by stating that this channel was never set up with the primary objective of gaining as many subscribers as we can. If this was our objective, we would be producing videos similar to other gold and silver channels, telling you that gold is going to be worth $10,000 any day now, silver's going to the moon by the end of the month, and that the US dollar will be worth 0 before you have time to get to the bank to withdraw it. On the political front, we would be telling you that President Trump is the greatest president since Abraham Lincoln and that Joe Biden is the devil incarnate. Now, we're sure if we did this, we'd have at least 50,000 subscribers and not 20,000, and many of our videos would have on average 50,000 to 100,000 views rather than a couple of thousand views. But what we do tell is the truth, as we see it, based usually on mathematical calculations and also utilizing our own life experiences, actually based in the field of economics, banking, international affairs, and yes, politics. Doesn't always mean we'll be right, but broadly, we're not usually that far wrong. A fortnight ago, we stated, for example, that Biden will be inaugurated on the 20th of January, in spite of President Trump's efforts to thwart it. We were heavily criticised for that statement, basically saying we don't know what we're talking about, Trump will remain as president. So how did we know or believe that Biden will be inaugurated? Are we fortune tellers or have some degree of omniscience? Or were we just hoping that he'd become president and therefore done what many people have done and just quoted what we hope will happen as being a certainty that it will happen? No, we quoted it because we actually have contacts in the White House and the Congress. We have those contacts through various means, sometimes directly and sometimes indirectly, but nevertheless, most of our contacts within those are not partisan individuals, but usually sensible advisors. And they've told us that the view from Trump's own legal team, and we mean the sensible lawyers, not Giuliani and some madcap lady, they knew there was really nothing that could be done that could change the result once the states had certified the results. Up until that point, there was a 10% chance that Trump could have been successful. It was as low as that. That was the genuine expectation. Now, whether he knew this or not himself, one doesn't know. But what was intimated to us was that he was totally intent, and not just him, some of his advisors, on making money off of this chaos. This is why so many supporters received multiple fundraising emails requesting money for a legal challenge fund. And those that did not respond or donate were shamed by additional emails asking why they've not done so, and basically almost calling them unpatriotic. We've seen those emails. They are not fictitious. Also in the small print, it was also confirmed that of the monies raised, anything below $5,000 may not actually be spent on the legal challenge itself, which was supposedly the purpose of the fundraising venture. Part would ultimately go through a redirection to the Republican Party, and part could be spent by President Trump himself on almost, not quite all, but almost anything he desired to spend those monies on. Now, we do not know exactly, because it's not published yet, how much has been raised, but it runs into the hundreds of millions of dollars. In fact, it was a great success as a fundraising campaign. We are told that Giuliani's efforts and the legal staff surrounding the president have spent something in the region of around $25 million on the legal challenges. Certainly no more than that. So what is the rest being spent on? These are legitimate questions one should ask. As equally, and we emphasize this, as equally it is legitimate to investigate Joe Biden's son and any links he has with China. We're not partisan. We believe both of these areas should be looked at. But let's share just a quick experience with you. Some of you will know this, but most of you won't. A number of years ago, I was personally invited to join Trump University from someone quite high up in the Trump organization. This was long before he was president or even serious about applying for the presidency. This was in the early days of the Trump University setup. I refused, but a friend of mine joined and went through the whole process, including upgrading to the roughly $30,000 level, which was the ultimate level, where he was promised a photograph, personal photograph, with Donald Trump. On the day of the photo shoot, something in the order of around 50 people, might have been a little more, were present for this picture to be taken. And they were shocked when they discovered the reality. Rather than being photographed with Donald Trump, they wheeled out a life-size cardboard cutout of him, with his thumb pointing upwards in the style that he usually does. And they had to have their pictures taken next to that. Now, just that alone, notwithstanding the many hundreds of people claiming they were never paid in full by the Trump organization for work that they've done, and this, as I say, was long before he ever became president or intimated that he would, should have set the scene of what type of morality or honesty that this person actually has. Now, we know in business there are often conflicts, but very few business people have literally thousands of legal challenges. Even organizations 20 or 30 times the size of the Trump organization have not had as many legal challenges as the Trump organization had received. That in itself should suggest something. Now, we're aware that many people say we didn't choose him for his morality or honesty, we chose him for his effectiveness. Well, it's up to you to judge for yourselves whether he was effective or not. We're not passing comment on that. We do not live in the United States. But from across the pond, to be frank, we cannot believe that Trump and Biden, out of a population of 330 million people, are the best two candidates you can find for president. But our views on this do not really matter. But if those views are shared by money managers, investors, and those who ultimately determine currency values, then it does matter to some degree to all of us because it affects the price of precious metals, the very thing that we all treasure. So even if morality, integrity, and honesty does not matter, then at least their impact on our hobby, investment, and treasure should. Or at least we should be aware of it and not oblivious to it. So the point is, just because we share this information with you does not necessarily mean we agree with it or that we're partisan in nature, as we're not. To be frank, to be blunt, it makes very little difference to us who is the President of the United States, as long as it's not some mad fanatic ready to push the nuclear button. But we do care if our leaders, regardless of party, and we have the same situation in the UK, have at least some degree or notion of integrity and honesty. We appreciate many politicians do not. We're not naive, but we have to aim high in the hope that we get some degree of normality, human empathy, and credibility, as well as sound decision-making. And also, when we publish articles from Reuters and or Bloomberg, it's not because we support those organizations or necessarily support what they say or agree with what they say. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. But we do it so because we know that most news media feeds regurgitate what they produce. And these feeds, as well as Reuters and Bloomberg directly, are what money managers and investment managers look at and read and respond to, which thereby affect the value of the dollar and ultimately precious metal prices. We think it's important we should point these aspects out to you. And please remember, those of you listening to this and who continue to do so and not so offended that you have to unsubscribe, you are the select few. The few who can cope with hearing things that you do not necessarily like without stomping off in a strop because you believe something different. The day we pander to gain popularity will be the day we shall give up this channel. So for those of you who stick with us, thank you. You truly are a select group of independent thinking people. Not because you agree with us, but at least you have the courage to listen to what we have to say. And at the end of the day, you have to make up your own mind, whether you agree or disagree. But at least it's worth contemplating the views of other people with at least a scintilla of experience in the subject in which they're producing videos on. That's enough. Thank you so much for listening. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to our channel. Not forgetting to press the bell sign so you're notified of our videos as and when they are published. We hope you have found this video interesting and informative. And if so, please give it a thumbs up and share it on social media. Please ensure that you have subscribed to our channel and press the bell sign so that you are notified of any future videos. Also, kindly visit our website at illuminatisilver.com, and if you haven't already done so, please subscribe either as a free or paying member for regular email updates and offers. Disclaimer: Illuminati silver owners come from a background of banking, international wealth management, and economics. Having now retired from these worlds, we are not qualified to give investment advice. Therefore, this and other productions must not be deemed to be giving such advice, and merely represent the personal views of its owners.